Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another season of Yu-Gi-Oh! Masterduel and another season of Marincess and the Winged Dragon of Ra working together. So today we have another set of matchups that have not been seen in previous videos. And I just want to walk you through them, but first let's look at my current deck list. It looks pretty much the same. We're running 45 cards. We're not running Max C. I think really the only difference is I swapped something out for Dark Hole just as one more board breaker. Maybe it was the second Lightning Storm or something I swapped out for Dark Hole. I'm not entire, or like a third droll or something. But I've lost a lot of coin flips, and I've got a lot of board breakers in my deck just to cope with that. So the other kind of changes, I don't have Baguska in the extra deck right now. I've got 2 copies of Zelantis. I've just had a bunch of duels where if I could board wipe again, I would win. And where the other boss monsters aren't really helpful. So that's where I'm at right now. And now let's get into the other big changes. I've got 2. I don't know if I did this. I think I did do this towards the end of last season. I really changed things up about halfway through the season. I put in Signet Mining just for a bit more consistency. So, because once, with this many board breakers and the raw cards, you're going to be a bit brickier than average. And I mean, even not a small number of hand traps, right? 7, 8, 9, 10. So yeah, between all the non-engine, it's just good to have some kind of starter if you brick. All right, and I've got a royal finish of Signet Mining, so I do feel obligated to play it. But most Marincess players don't play it these days. All right, so let's go into the replays. All right, so I think let's start with this one. This is actually from the very end of last season. Sorry, my cat is nudging my mouse hand. All right, here we go. Aw, she's nudging my face. She just wants snacks. All right, so this game is against a deck you'll see on the ladder, Gold Pride with P.U.N.K. P.U.N.K is an archetype you're probably pretty familiar with. You've probably seen. Now it's just being combined with a newer archetype, Gold Pride, which is another synchro. It's another. Well, there's also a fusion monster. It's a synchro/fusion deck where you pay life points to special summon monsters, so it goes well with P.U.N.K, where your goal is to strike a perfect balance of how many life points you pay to get outing their boss monster just out of reach. And you'll actually see, so their boss monster is Psychic and Punisher, where its effect says if your life points are lower than your opponent's life points, Psychic and Punisher is not affected by anything. It's invincible. And you're going to see that the Winged Dragon of Ra is the perfect tech to out this card, because what do? You put your life points to 100, which is definitely going to be lower than whatever your opponent has. Okay, so we're going first, and I always like to see the True Sun God going first, because it could potentially save your bacon, because it stops your opponent's special summon monsters from attacking the turn they're summoned. And it's also good bait for Ash Blossom when you activate it. And unfortunately, I kind of bricked here. I've got 2 copies of Marincess Piscalis. You cannot special summon a second copy of Marincess Pascalis. Um, that would be too. I guess that would be unfair because you could special summon then a third Marincess monster just off your normal summon. So we kind of bricked in terms of the Marincess cards. So usually the best you can do with just Marincess Piscalis is get to your Link 3 and the trap card. And they try to ghost ogre me, hand trap, where you destroy whatever monster activates its effects. And this is really, really disastrous for Marincess. Marincess's combo, because you're special summoning a monster from the graveyard to a monster zone this Link monster points to. And if there's no monster, if your Coral and enemy is not pointing to anything because it's not on the field, nothing's coming back from the graveyard. Thankfully, we've got Called by the Grave to put a stop to that nonsense. And we finish up our combo. And since we already have a water monster back in our hand, we just get the magic card back, spell card. And we're just going to hope that this is enough. We've got Guardian Slime as the last line of defense. And there they go. I'm not going to pretend to know a ton about Gold Pride, but they go. This seems a little hasty. Usually, you'll see them like put a monster down and then put 2 or 3 spell or trap cards down, and they can synchro summon on your turn and all this kind of wacky stuff. But here they just go straight for Psychic and Punisher. They haven't paid a huge amount of life points. So generally, if you don't have the Winged Dragon of Ra, your strategy against Psychic and Punisher is to attack it with a low attack monster to make your life points lower than your opponent's, and then you can take out the Psychic and Punisher in any other way. It's no longer invincible. Okay, so here, let's see. So they are adding a trap card. Like I said, they usually summon a monster, set a bunch of stuff down, and that's exactly what they're trying to do. And I just hit it with my Marincess wave to make Coral Triangle invincible because, of course, Psychic and Punisher not only is unaffected when your life points are lower, but has 2 other effects. You can pay 1,000 LP, then target one monster you control and a monster your opponent controls and banish them. So that's about to happen to Coral Triangle, and we want Coral Triangle in the graveyard to use her graveyard effect of summoning out monsters equivalent to Link 3 by banishing from the graveyard. So we want to make sure she goes to the graveyard when she goes, because she is going. And then Psychic and Punisher here has a third effect, which is at the start of the battle phase, you can make this card gain attack equal to the difference between your LP and your opponent's. Another reason why when you're playing Punk, you want to pay as much as you can. And potentially just OTK using Psychic and Punisher if the difference is great enough. So almost like a better version of the Winged Dragon, or you could argue a better version of the Winged Dragon of Ra, because it starts out with 3,500 attack. Arguably. And it's got a tower effect that Ra lacks. Okay, so it's the modern Yu-Gi-Oh's Winged Dragon of Ra. And it's easier to summon. You don't need 3 tributes. And so Psychic and Punisher, even though it's unaffected, this is something that affects all monsters. So it just can't attack. It can't attack at all. So Coral Triangle actually survives here, and that's good. So, and here we go. So now we have we got some gas in the tank with Marincess Seahorse and the spell card Marincess Dive. And first we're going to use Pascalis' effect to bring the trap card back to our hand. And here we go. we make sure we get 3 bodies on the field apart from Coral Triangle, because you can only play Marincess Wave from your hand if you have a Link 3 or higher, and we're going to need to negate Psychic End Punisher when it uses its Battle Phase effect. Because otherwise, we're going to take our life points down to 100 with Winged Dragon of Ra, and then in the battle phase, so that means the difference between our life points and their life points will be 4,600, and that means in the battle phase, Psychic End Punisher will gain 4,600 attack points, which we do not want to happen. That will stop our OTK with Ra. So, okay, here we go. We're going to put 3 other bodies on the field. We're going to summon from the deck, and so 3 bodies other than the Link 3. And then we're just going to maximize our attack points by bringing out Coral Anemone with 2,000 attack. Excavate, just in case we get something useful. And now we tribute Ra and pay until we are at 100 life points. This is enough to OTK plus 4,600. You're at 8,100. You're not quite enough to. I guess you could then finish him off with Coral Triangle. That might just do it. 11,500 plus 81 minus 8,100 is 3,400, and that leaves 1,300 life points left. So yeah, Coral Triangle could finish them off even if we don't negate their battle phase effect, but that's not as cool. We want the Fireball. And so he used the battle phase effect, and I can now negate that effect because I have fewer life points than he does. Psychic End Punisher is no longer invincible, and he surrenders before I can finish him off, unfortunately. Okay, so that's right. Tired of getting destroyed by Psychic End Punisher? Just play Winged Dragon of Ra. It's the perfect counter. Okay, let's go through. I think there is a branded matchup, which you've seen before, but branded is so ubiquitous that we want to keep looking at that matchup anyway. I don't think this is branded. This is something. This might be Labrynth or something. Ooh, I get to go first. How exciting. So here I am. This is just the 1-card combo with Marincess Spring Girl, where you're going to get to Bubble Reef, the Link 4, and the Trap card. Now, even though I already have the Trap, I only have 1 copy of the Trap card. Even though it's in my hand, I'm still going to get Coral Triangle out, so I can use its Graveyard effect if I need it. Okay, Bubble Reef, and 2 face down, Called By, and Forbidden Droplet. So we've got quite a bit of disruption. So yeah, this is against Branded. Can't stop Branded Fusion, and they go straight into Sanctifier. And then they try to use Quem to bring Cartesia back out and to fuse once again. And so I try to stop that. I don't want them getting yet another body on the field. I try to Called By. Branded doesn't really run a lot of hand traps, so I don't really feel bad about using Called By the Grave here. Okay, so they stop that by bringing out Bestial Magnamut, but all the banishes, remember, Great Bubble Reef has the effect that each time a monster is banished face up, this card gains 600 attack. And you can see it doesn't say only your own monsters. It's any monster banished faced up. And so you'll see this once in a while when you're facing Sword Soul, like against a Shang Ying, or other cards that banish a lot. They won't be able to out Bubble Reef because they keep making her bigger and bigger and bigger for you. And here, Sanctifier, Magnamut can't beat her over her this turn. Now, Sanctifier is a tricky monster. It can't be targeted. So we can't even use Wave on it necessarily. See, I tried. I did my darndest. Now, interestingly, so Forbidden Droplet doesn't target. And when something doesn't target, it's because it doesn't have the word target in it. Then it doesn't target. Like, choose effect monsters, that is targeting. Like, it's a choose and target can be synonyms, right? Sometimes, right? In the case of, like, when you're targeting a monster, you are choosing among your opponent's monsters. So it's kind of it's a weird technicality that a card doesn't target if it doesn't literally use the word target in its effect. I think that's when essentially that's what you're doing when you're choosing, but whatever. Anyway, it's one, or banish a card or destroy a card. Like, when it's a singular thing, you could argue that it's zeroing in on a single card and therefore targeting, but it doesn't have the word target, so it's not a targeting effect. Anyway, very odd ruling. I'll stop talking before there's a comment that says bro really thought he was cooking with the targeting talk to make fun of me. Okay, so, and I discard both the bubble reef uh, and whatever else I discarded, and I'm just going to use Coral Triangle's Graveyard Effect to bring stuff back. And here we go. And yep, now I get 3 bodies on the field very quickly. And all 3 of their monsters are negated. The other reason is to cut their attack in half. So I've got an easy target to finish them off. So they still do stuff. They put Mirror Jade on the field, which is a huge pain, but it doesn't matter because I had not actually activated. So I had put Coral Anemone on the field, but I hadn't activated her effect. So now I'm going to just summon my other Coral Anemone. If I need to, which I don't. I don't even need to. I just put 3 bodies on the field. And I punch Mirror Jade in the face like it deserves. So, nice try, branded player, but your 1 banish didn't help you. Okay. Kind of skipped around a little bit. I think we didn't watch. I don't think we watched this one. Unless that's the one we just watched. Nope, this is a different one. Cool. I'm a bit out of it. I had a tooth extracted earlier today, so I'm not at 100% mental or physical capacity. Okay, they imperm the Sea Angel. It is what it is. We can still end up on a Link 4 with the trap card, barring any other hand traps. And we've got Ice Shade Ran, so we can also bring out our Ice Shade Geimer. And that's a decent end board right there. And yeah, this one's against Labrynth. So for this, I immediately use Agarine's effect, just in case they somehow get a card on the field that can destroy me. Labrynth relies on destroying your cards. So Ice Jade Geimer, which prevents your opponent from destroying your cards, is a pretty good counter to Labrynth. And I immediately use the banish effect of Geimer. I use it on their furniture card, so they can't just keep setting trap cards turn after turn. Okay. Alright, and they just pass with Big Welcome on the field. And it's their turn. They did that in my end phase. So now I get another banish, and oh my god, it's so... the branded player also had this in their deck. Oh, this is awful. In the past, you'd only see very degenerate Runic players playing this card awful. It is skill drain, but just for you. All monsters they control. So, all right, each player. I guess I could counter this by setting a card, but it's very, very annoying. So thankfully, I can immediately get rid of it with because it's a quick effect, and I stop Big Welcome with Ghost Bell, and I negate Ariana with my trap card. I am just doing everything I can to stop their plays. They would have used these two cards last turn if those cards were useful for anything. Okay, so we do have our big lady, or sorry, Lady of the Silver Castle. I guess Big Lady's the other boss monster of Labrynth. Okay, well, I'm left with just Geimer, and that's okay. I just go straight into battle phase, and whoops, I use Forbidden Droplet, and hmm, I do that because I don't want another trap card getting set. If they survive another turn, I don't want them to have another Labrynth card they can use to combo. And I'm totally okay with Geimer going into the graveyard, just in case they end up with Ice Dragon's Prison. That's a favorite card of Labrynth players, where you summon a card onto the field from your opponent's graveyard, and you choose one card on your field and one card on their field that have the same type, and you banish them both. So you can hope that your opponent messes up and chooses a different water monster and banishes two, and then Geimer can come back. And now I also get to use our Coral Triangle's graveyard effect and bring out two monsters that equal link 3, and suddenly we have 3 bodies on the field. Okay, I'm going to field wipe. Boop. And I can't, yeah. I think I used Ancient Chant last turn, so I don't have an extra Tribute Summon. Okay, and I set Wave because I only have a Link 1 Marincess card on the field, and that scared me. I thought they were going to hit me with Evenly Matched when they went through the battle phase, but they didn't. And now I'm going to be able to just win. Yeah. They just surrender because they can't stop whatever I'm about to do to them. Okay, last match for this video. Oh man. Oh, hello, cat. Cat just wants my attention here. All right. All right, here we go. Going second. I like to have a healthy mix of going first and going second games for you all. Just so I don't, it's not impossible to win going second, especially, with all the board breakers I run in my deck, you would hope it's not. So this is against Superheavy Samurai, exactly the kind of deck you don't want to go second against. This is, I think, the first game of the season for me. Okay. They're popping off. They put that Gamma out. They can't use it because they've got a monster on the field. Okay. And they're gonna get their Baron. Yeah. So if you're gonna use like Ghost Bell or like a set called by, you want to use it on the Excel Synchro here, because after they use Excel Synchro's effect, they have a Baron on the field and you can't negate anything. It'll just get negated itself. All right. All right. Yep. So thankfully, the one thing you don't want to have, like, you will just lose, is if they stop you from special summoning using Artifact Scythe. Thankfully, they don't get Artifact Scythe into their hand or onto their field. And so we can win. All right, so they've got 1, 2, 3 negates, which is pretty. And one of, we've got a negate and destroy. I think this is also a negate and destroy. Let me look. So negates by themselves are okay. What's really devastating? Okay, this is just a regular old negate. So only one negate and destroys are really devastating for Marincess because you need bodies on the field to link climb. So just plain old negates from Appaloosa or these two, you can live with. But if they Baron you at the right time, you're toast. So okay. And here, so first I've got a Kaiju. I just Kaiju the Baron. As I said, we can live with 2 negates and not destruction. We can still link climb. Okay. Well, not really, because with these 3, not really. We actually could not do a whole lot of link climbing, I'll be honest. So we have to find a way to deal with these 2. Thankfully, we've got just enough. So we're going to use Raigeki to bait out one of these negates. And in either case, so Therian King Regulus sends itself to the graveyard to negate, which means we can stop it with Called by the Grave. So what's either going to happen is I'm going to Raigeki, they're going to negate with Therian King Regulus, and I'm going to hit it with Called by, and that'll bait out negate number 2, and they'll have no negates left. Or I Raigeki, they negate with Borolo, Savage Dragon, and then I start comboing, and they use Regulus, and I just use Called by the Grave with Impunity. And they're out of negates. So, here we go. So, yeah, when I Raigeki, they use Borreload, and then I start comboing. Nothing to write home about. Notice, so when you want to OTK, you want to start with Sea Angel, because you're going to summon Blue Slug, the other Link 1, at the very end of your combo. Okay, so we're chain blocking and excavating 3, absolutely jack squat, and they hit us with the Droll. How ironic! Superheavy Samurai, which is countered by Droll, is hitting us with Droll and Lockbird. Thankfully, we do not need the trap card. We can already stop their final negate with Called by the Grave. And the trap card is the only other card we absolutely need to search and get into our hand. We have Battle Ocean already, so we don't need the trap card in this case, and that's the only other card we need to search for, so this Droll is too little too late. And so this is me messing up. I'll admit it, I messed up here. So I should have waited like I normally do until the board wipe with Zelantis to use Battle Ocean. I didn't hear because I was being too eager. I was too excited about winning. And I didn't read this card properly. So I've seen this card be used to... You put Artifact Scythe in the Spell and Trap zone, and then you use this card to destroy it. And when it's destroyed, it gets special summoned to the field. And then you can't special summon monsters from the extra deck. Your opponent can't. So I thought this could destroy its own spell or trap cards, but it can actually destroy any spell or trap card on the field. So I actually lose my Battle Ocean when I could have board wiped first and then had Battle Ocean available for the OTK. So I don't think I OTK this turn. I think he uses Therian here. This is a good choke. This is a good choke point. This is a perfectly good choke point. If you're playing against Marincess. But thankfully, I called by. and I keep Link climbing, summon Mandarin from my hand, and I do the OTK line. I just awkwardly don't have Battle Ocean, and I can't bring it back because I need both these cards to for the OTK line. Okay, so Bubble Reef out, and then here's what I do. So I know I cannot OTK this turn. And so I ask myself, okay, I can either shotgun uh, Bubble Reef into Zelantis and then have three bodies on the field that aren't going to interact until the battle phase with Zelantis, or I can draw a card for next turn with Bubble Reef's effect and do a little bit less damage. And so I choose to do that instead, and I made the right choice in hindsight. So that's a good little extra bit of protection. I get my Kaiju back, which is cool. So I didn't. I wonder if this is a mistake. Let's do some math. So if instead of Bubble Reef, I had Marble Rock and a 1500 attack Blue Slug. So Marble Rock is 25. So that's 5,000 plus 1,500, 6,500. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think I actually. Oh, do you know why I don't have the OTK? Because of this guy. So, this guy, you notice, didn't get board wiped, even though they're an Earth. And that's because this Link Summon monster is unaffected by spell trap effects and the activated effects of other Link monsters. So that includes the battle phase effect of Zelantis. So I'd have to use one of my monsters to beat this card over, which means they would survive, even if I had Marbled Rock and Blue Slug on the field instead of Bubble Reef. So, yeah, in hindsight, this was a good choice. I still take out their pendulum zones and do some damage. And then I draw a card, and I draw the perfect card. I draw Ash Blossom. And guess what? One Ash Blossom is enough to end the game. Just draw the out, fellas. Just draw the out. In my case, I drew several outs in that game. All right, so those are the matchups. So I guess two of the matchups are familiar matchups, Superheavy and Branded. And then we've got two new matchups, Gold Pride and Labrynth. All right, well, that's all for now. I'm going to keep doing these walkthroughs throughout the season when I play some other interesting matches. And I've got another video about another deck I'm cooking up, which is Ancient Warriors plus the Winged Dragon of Ra. So check that video out. If you don't like Marincess and you want to see a hybrid deck that cares even less about those extra deck monsters, check out Ancient Warriors. All right, that's all for now. Bye-bye.